Where legends breathe again. Eldmyth. It begins in silence, not with light, but with the suffocating darkness of the deep ocean. A faint blue-green glow stirs below, breathing softly from the endless abyss. The sound of water pressure, a deep, resonant hum, is the first thing the audience hears, a constant reminder of the alien and unforgiving nature of this realm. It is a world of immense pressure and silence, a place where sunlight is a forgotten memory. Then a shape moves within the gloom, a sinuous, powerful form that disturbs the placid, glowing plankton. It is not yet fully visible, more a suggestion of a creature, a silhouette of flowing hair and a powerful tail that propels it with effortless grace. The water itself seems to part for it, acknowledging its sovereignty. This is the domain of the mermaid, a being born not of fantasy, but of the ocean's most profound and terrifying secrets. For centuries, she has been the siren song of the human imagination, a beautiful, tragic, and often deadly paradox, luring us with the promise of a world we can never truly know. The legend of the mermaid is one of humanity's most persistent and haunting echoes, a whisper that has traveled on salt-laden winds from the earliest days of our seafaring history. She is the embodiment of the ocean's dual nature, its breathtaking beauty and its lethal indifference. To understand her is to plunge into the collective unconscious of every sailor who ever stared into the restless waves and saw something more than water. She is the face we give to the mystery that lies beneath the surface, a symbol of the unknown world that comprises most of our planet, yet remains more foreign to us than the moon. Her song is the lament of the deep, a melody woven from the sounds of crashing waves, the groan of shifting continental plates, and the lonely calls of whales traversing empty ocean basins. It is a song that speaks to a primal part of our soul, promising untold wonders and ancient truths, yet its price is often the very breath in our lungs. Her origins are as murky and vast as the sea itself. In ancient Assyria, the goddess Atargates, mother of the queen Semiramis, plunged into a lake in a fit of shame and grief, taking the form of a woman from the waist up and a fish from the waist down. This tragic genesis established the mermaid not as a monster, but as a figure of profound sorrow, her very existence a monument to a broken heart. The Greeks knew her as the siren, a creature whose voice was so utterly captivating it could lure ships from their safe courses and onto the jagged teeth of rocky shores, leaving sailors to drown in a blissful trance. But was this a malevolent act, or simply the consequence of a beauty too potent for mortal minds to withstand? Her habitat is the entire global ocean, from the sun-dappled, warm shallows of tropical atolls to the lightless, crushing pressures of the abyssal plain. Some tales speak of magnificent, crystalline cities built in hidden underwater valleys, structures of coral, mother-of-pearl, and sunken marble, glowing with the captured light of phosphorescent jewels and animated by the gentle, constant currents. These kingdoms, known as Aegir's Hall in Norse myth or the Lost City of Wise in Breton folklore, are said to be places of immense age and wisdom, where time flows differently, and the frantic pace of the human world is meaningless. Other stories suggest a more solitary existence, with mermaids as nomadic spirits of the water, claiming no kingdom but the endless blue, their only companions the great whales, the playful dolphins, and the silent, gliding sharks. Observing a mermaid in her element is to witness a being in perfect harmony with her world. Her anatomy is a marvel of evolutionary adaptation, a seamless blend of the familiar and the alien. From the waist up, she possesses the form of a human woman, a shape that has fueled countless tales of love and longing. But this is a deceptive familiarity. Her skin is often described as cool to the touch, with a subtle, pearlescent or silvery sheen, less like skin and more like the inner surface of a mollusk shell. It is resilient, able to withstand the abrasive salt water and the chill of the depths. Her hands may be slender and graceful, but often with a slight webbing between the fingers, a practical adaptation for a life of swimming. Her hair is typically long and flowing, not for vanity, but to act as a sensory organ in the water, feeling the subtle shifts in current and pressure that signal approaching weather or predators. Her most defining feature, the fish-like tail, is a testament to aquatic power and grace. It is not a flimsy appendage, but a muscular, powerful engine that can propel her at speeds that would outpace any human vessel. The tail itself is a canvas of nature's most brilliant art. Scales can range from the metallic silver of a herring to the deep, iridescent green of abalone's shell, often patterned with unique markings that are as individual as a human fingerprint. The fins are delicate, translucent membranes, often tinged with color, resembling the finest silk or the wings of a mythical dragon. They are used for precise maneuvering and stability, fluttering like banners as she moves. Her voice, when heard above water, is said to be of unearthly beauty, capable of mimicking the sounds of the sea, the crash of waves, the sigh of the wind, the cry of gulls, weaving them into a melody that is both haunting and irresistible. This voice is central to her mythos. The siren's call is not merely a song. It is a psychological phenomenon, a sonic key that unlocks deep-seated human desires and regrets. It is said to sound different to every listener. To a homesick sailor, it might mimic the laughter of his children or the folk songs of his village. To an ambitious man, it might whisper promises of treasure and glory. To a lonely soul, it might offer the perfect, understanding companion. The song does not hypnotize through force, but through perfect, cruel empathy, reflecting back to the listener the very thing their heart most desperately seeks. It is this targeted, personal seduction that makes the call so dangerously effective, bypassing logic and speaking directly to the raw nerve of human emotion. The encounter between human and mermaid is almost always a prelude to a shift in fortune, a crossroads where destiny is rewritten in salt water. The most famous of these narratives is, of course, the fatal allure. For centuries, sailors' logs and coastal folklore have been filled with warnings. The song would drift across a calm sea on a moonlit night, a melody of such piercing sweetness that it would pull men from their hammocks, drawing them to the rail. They would stare, transfixed, at the figures they saw lounging on distant rocks or swimming alongside the ship, their beautiful faces and enchanting music promising a paradise just beneath the waves. The men in a trance would often leap overboard, swimming towards an illusion that would dissolve into crushing depth and cold, their bodies never recovered. But not all encounters end in tragedy. There is a parallel, though rarer, strand of lore that speaks of benevolent mermaids. In Celtic stories, selkies, seal folk who shed their skins to become human on land, often marry fishermen, bringing them good luck and abundant catches. However, these tales are almost always tinged with melancholy, for if the selkie ever finds her hidden sealskin, she will immediately return to the sea, often leaving a heartbroken family behind. Similarly, some mermaids are depicted as saviors, rescuing drowning sailors from shipwrecks and gently guiding them to safe shores. In these legends, the mermaid acts as a guardian spirit, a representative of the ocean's capacity for mercy. She might bestow gifts upon kind-hearted fishermen or warn coastal villages of approaching storms, her appearance a signal to pull the boats higher onto the beach. The emotional tension in these encounters is palpable. For the human, it is a confrontation with the ultimate other, a being that is both recognizably like us and fundamentally different. It sparks a complex mix of awe, desire, fear, and a profound sense of wonder. For the mermaid, the human represents the world of air and sun, a world of fleeting lives and intense, burning emotions that are as foreign to her as the abyss is to us. Is she curious, envious, contemptuous? The myths disagree. In some, she seeks a soul, believing that union with a mortal can grant her immortality. In others, she sees humans as fleeting, fragile curiosities, their lives as brief and insignificant as mayflies. This fundamental disconnect, the chasm between land and sea, mortal and immortal, warm blood and cold, is the true tragedy at the heart of every mermaid story. The folklore practices surrounding mermaids are a testament to the deep-seated fear and reverence they inspired in coastal communities. For every tale of rescue, there were a dozen warnings. Fishermen would carry charms of iron or rowan wood, believing these materials were anathema to the sea folk. Whistling on a ship was strictly forbidden, as it was thought to mimic the sound of the wind and therefore challenge the mermaid's domain, inviting her wrath and a subsequent storm. Some villages, particularly in Scandinavia and the British Isles, had specific rituals for appeasing these beings. After a successful catch, the first and finest fish would be thrown back into the sea as an offering, a tithe to the rulers of the deep. This was not an act of waste, but one of profound respect and a plea for continued bounty and safe passage. In more superstitious times, the very sighting of a mermaid was considered an omen. To see one swimming calmly was often a sign of good weather and plentiful fish, but to see one languishing on a rock, especially if she was seen combing her hair or holding a mirror, was a dire portent of a coming storm. This association links the mermaid not just to the sea itself, but to its most volatile and unpredictable moods. She becomes a barometer of the ocean's temper. The mirror is a particularly potent symbol. It represents vanity, yes, but also a distorted reflection of our own world, a glimpse into a reality that is similar but fundamentally inverted. The mermaid gazing into her mirror is not merely admiring herself. She is studying the world of air from her aquatic perspective, perhaps with the same mixture of curiosity and pity with which we gaze into our own fish tanks. One of the most poignant legends comes from the windswept shores of the Orkney Islands, the tale of the Mermaid of Brahan. It is said that a fisherman once managed to capture a mermaid by stealing her magical cap or sealskin, without which she could not return to the sea. Forced to live on land, she became his wife, and though she was a good mother to their children, a deep sadness never left her eyes. She would often sit on the shore, staring out at the waves, singing a low, mournful song that made the gulls fall silent. For years she lived this life, but her heart remained in the ocean. One day, one of her children, exploring the attic, found the hidden sealskin and brought it to his mother, not knowing what it was. The moment the mermaid touched the skin, her sadness vanished, replaced by a fierce, wild joy. With one last, loving but resolute look at her children, she dashed into the surf, donned the skin, and disappeared beneath the waves, never to be seen again. This story encapsulates the mermaid's fundamental nature. She may be bound to land for a time, but the call of the sea is her true and only destiny. A darker, more terrifying myth originates from Japan, concerning the Ningyo. This creature is far removed from the beautiful siren of the West. The Ningyo is often depicted as a grotesque hybrid with the head of a monkey, a fanged mouth, and the body of a fish, covered in shimmering golden scales. Its voice is said to sound like a flute or a mournful loon. Catching a Ningyo was believed to bring terrible misfortune and storms, but its flesh, if consumed, was said to grant immortal youth and life. One famous legend tells of a fisherman who caught a Ningyo and, ignoring the taboos, served its flesh to his guests. All who partook were cursed with immortality, forced to live through endless generations, watching their loved ones age and die, until they eventually retreated from the world as wizened, sorrowful hermits, their gift having become an eternal prison. These stories reveal the creature's symbolic meaning across cultures. She is the ultimate unattainable desire. She represents a knowledge that is fatal to possess, a love that is impossible to keep, and a life that is fundamentally incompatible with our own. The cultural impact of the mermaid has been immense and ever-evolving. In the Romantic period of the 19th century, she was reclaimed as a tragic figure. Hans Christian Andersen's 1837 fairy tale, The Little Mermaid, cemented this image in the Western consciousness. In Andersen's story, the mermaid's desire for a soul and for the love of a prince is a profound and painful metaphor for spiritual aspiration. Her silence, the cost of her transformation, and the physical agony of every step on land represent the immense sacrifices made for love and a higher state of being. This was a far cry from the dangerous sirens of old. This mermaid was a sympathetic, almost Christ-like figure, suffering for her dreams. The 20th and 21st centuries have seen an explosion of reinterpretation. From the comedic splash of Daryl Hannah in Splash to the dark, ecological horror of The Lure, and the global corporate phenomenon of Disney's Ariel, the mermaid has been reshaped to reflect contemporary concerns. Ariel's story, while sanitized, still carries the core themes of curiosity, rebellion against tradition, and the desire for a different life. Modern fantasy literature and film often explore mermaid societies in complex detail, portraying them as sophisticated cultures with their own politics, magic, and conflicts. In our current era, the mermaid has also become a potent symbol in environmental movements. She is the face of ocean conservation, a reminder of the mysterious and beautiful life that is threatened by pollution, overfishing, and climate change. The image of a mermaid entangled in plastic or swimming through a bleached coral reef is a powerful piece of environmental commentary. Her myth has come full circle. From a personification of the ocean's dangerous power, she has become an ambassador for its fragility and a rallying cry for its protection. We now fear not the mermaid, but for her. The waves that crash upon the shore are a constant reminder. They whisper the old stories, carrying them from the deep. They speak of cities of coral and thrones of pearl, of songs that can shatter a heart or save a soul, of a beauty that is as dangerous as it is captivating. The ocean refuses to give up all its secrets, and so the mermaid endures. She swims on in the borderland between reality and dream, a timeless figure born from the marriage of sea foam and human wonder. The next time you stand at the edge of the water, looking out at the endless, shifting horizon, listen carefully to the rhythm of the waves. Perhaps you will hear the faint, fading echo of a song, a reminder that the world is still wide and full of mystery, and that the old powers may yet be watching from the glimmering depths, waiting. Another legend fades, but the next awaits. Like this video, subscribe and continue the journey through myths.